Satya Mars Divine Grace, Founder of Iskana Bhai Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Grantha Shrimadbhagavatam Ki, Their Most Merciful Lordship Shri Shri Bihari Ki, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki, Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal Ki, Shri Shri Gornitai Ki, Nitai Go Prem. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the glorious feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Ram Chaiva Narottamam. Ram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudiraya. Tato Jayamudiraya. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Is this Vijaya Ekadashi? So, today being Ekadashi, we will read from the Ekadashi book, from the chapter entitled Vijaya Ekadashi. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, O Lord Sri Krishna, O glorious son of Vasudeva, please be merciful to me and describe the Ekadashi that occurs during the dark fortnight of the month of Falguni, February and March. Lord Sri Krishna replied, O Yudhishthira, O King of Kings, gladly shall I tell you about this great fast known as Vijaya Ekadashi. Whoever observes it certainly achieves success, both in this life and the next. All the sins of one who fasts on this Ekadashi and hears its sublime glories are eradicated. Narad Muni once asked Lord Brahma, who sits on a lotus, about Vijaya Ekadashi. Narad said, O best of the demigods, kindly tell me the merit one can achieve by faithfully observing Vijaya Ekadashi. Narad's great father replied, My dear son, this oldest of fasting days is pure, and it nullifies all sins. I have never revealed this to anyone until today, but you can understand beyond any doubt that this Ekadashi bestows the result indicated by its nature. Vijay means victory. When Lord Ram was exiled to the forest for 14 years, he, Goddess Sita, and his divine brother Lakshman stayed at Panchavati as mendicants. Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, and Ram seemingly became bewildered by distress. While searching for his beloved consort, the Lord came upon the dying Jatayu, and thereafter killed his enemy Kabanda. The great devotee vulture Jatayu returned to Vaikuntha after telling Ram how his dear Sita had been abducted by Ravana. Later, Ram and Sugriva, the king of the monkeys, became friends. Together, they amassed a grand army of monkeys and bears and sent Hanumanji to Sri Lanka, where he was able to see Janaki, Sita Devi, in an Ashoka garden. He delivered Ram's message to her and then returned to Ram with her message to him, thus rendering great service to the Supreme Lord. With the help of Sugriva, Lord Ram proceeded toward Sri Lanka. Upon arriving at the shore of the ocean with the army of monkeys, he could understand that the water was uncommonly deep. Thus, he said to Lakshman, O son of Sumitra, how can we earn enough merit to be able to cross this vast ocean, the unfathomable abode of Varuna? I can see no easy way to cross it, teeming as it is with sharks and other ferocious fish. Lakshman replied, O best of all beings, O origin of all gods, O primal personality, the great sage Bakadalja lives on an island just 4 miles from here. O Raghava, he has seen many Brahmins come and go. So aged and wise is he. Let us ask him how we can safely reach our goal. So Ram and Lakshman proceeded to the humble ashram of the incomparable Bakadalibhya Muni. Approaching him, the two lords paid their respectful obeisances to him as if he were a second Vishnu. Bakadalibhya could understand, however, that Ram was actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who for his own reasons had appeared on earth as a human being. O Ram, said Bakadalibhya, O best of human beings, why have you come to my lowly abode? The Lord replied, O great twice-born Brahman, I have come here to the ocean shore with my phalanx of monkeys and bears in order to cross the sea and conquer Lanka and its demon horde. O greatest of sages, please be merciful to me and tell me how I can cross this vast ocean. That is why I have come to you today. The sage said, O Lord Ram, I shall tell you of the most exalted of all fasts, observing which you will surely conquer Ravana and be eternally glorified. Kindly listen with full attention. On the day before Ekadashi, fashion a water pot of gold or silver or even of copper. Even clay will do if these metals are unavailable. Fill the pot with pure water and then decorate it nicely with mango leaves. Cover it and place it near a holy altar upon a mound of 7 grains. The 7 grains are described here. You can call that later. Now, take your morning bath, decorate the water pot with flower garlands and sandalwood paste, and in the concave lid atop the pot, place barley, pomegranate, and coconut. Now, with great love and devotion, worship the water pot deity and offer him incense, sandalwood paste, flowers, a ghee lamp, and a plate of sumptuous food. Remain awake that night beside the sacred pot. On top of the lid, filled with barley, etc., place a golden murti of Lord Narayan. When Ekadashi dawns, take your morning bath and then decorate the water pot with fine sandalwood paste and garlands. Then worship the pot with first-class incense, sandalwood paste, and a ghee lamp, and also devotedly place many kinds of cooked food, pomegranate, and coconut before the water pot. Then remain awake overnight. When Dwadasi dawns, take the water pot to the bank of a holy river, or even to the shore of a small pond. After worshiping it properly, O King of Kings, offer it with all the aforementioned ingredients to a pure Brahmin, expert in the Vedic science. If you and your military commanders observe Vijaya Ekadashi in this way, you will surely be victorious in every way. Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did just as Bhakalabhya Muni instructed, and thus he conquered all demoniac forces. Similarly, anyone who observes Vijaya Ekadashi in this way will always be victorious in this mortal world. And after leaving this world, he will reside forever in the kingdom of God. O Narad, my son, from this history you can understand why one should observe this Ekadashi fast properly, strictly following the rules and regulations. This fast is powerful enough to eradicate all one's sinful reactions, even the most abominable ones. Sri Krishna concluded, O Yudhisthira, anyone who reads or hears this history will attain the same great merit as that earned by performing a horse sacrifice. Thus ends the narration of the glories of Falguna Krishna Ekadashi, or Vijaya Ekadashi from the Skanda Purana. So the 7 grains are barley, wheat, rice, corn, chickpeas, kukani, and dal for peas. Jai. Vijaya Ekadashi ki Jai. Now we are reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 16, 15, 16. 15, and 15 has no purport, right? So we will jump to 16 after I will read the English of text 15, and then we will do 16 together. So the English of text 15 is, well, let me read the Sanskrit. I'll just read it once through. Tamachur brahmanas tushta rajanam brashrayan pitam esahi asmin prajantantau purunam bodhavarsabha. The learned Brahmins who were very satisfied with the charities of the king, addressed him as the chief amongst the Purus, and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. Text 16. Daivana Prigatena
Daivena Pratigathena
Jai Shri Vijaya Jai Jagannath Jai Baladev Nesbanda Jai Shri Gunshai Daivena Pratigatena
Daivena Pratigathena
Sukhe Samstamupeyasi
Shukle Samstamupeyusi
Ratovo Nugrahartaya
Ratovo Anugrahataya
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna
Daivana Pratigatena
Daivena Pratighatena
Daivana Pratigatena
Daivena Pratighatena
Sukle Samstamupeyasi
Shukle Samstamupeyusi
Sukle Samstamupeyasi
Shukle Samstamupeyusi
Ratovo Nugrahataya
Ratovo Anugrahataya
Ratuvo Nugrahataya
Ratovo Anugrahataya
Vishnuna Prabhu Vishnuna
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna.
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna
Please chant.
Daivena Pratighatena
Daivena Pratigatena
Shukle Samstamupeyusi
Sukle Samstamupeyasi
Ratovo Anugrahataya
Ratuvo Nugrahataya
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna
Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna
Daivena Pratighatena
Daivena Pratigatena
Sukle Samstamupeyusi
Sukle Samstamupeyasi Ratuvo Nugrahataya Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna Daivana Pratigatena Sukle Samstamupeyasi Ratuvo Nugrahataya Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna Daivena. By supernatural power
By supernatural power
Apratigatena
Apratigathena
by what is irresistible
by what is irresistible
Sukle
Shukle
unto the pure
unto the pure
Samstam
Samstam
destruction
destruction
Upayasi
Upayusi
having been enforced
having been enforced
Rata
Rata
restored
restored
Ba for you Anugrahataya
Anugrahataya
for the sake of obliging
for the sake of obliging
Vishnuna
Vishnuna
by the all-pervasive Lord
by the all-pervasive Lord
Prabha Vishnuna
Prabha Vishnuna
by the all-powerful.
by the all-powerful.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vijaya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Brahmin said, this spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon. Please repeat. The Brahmin said,
The Brahmana said,
this spotless sun
the spotless sun
has been restored
has been restored
by the all-powerful
by the all-powerful
and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu,
and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu,
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of Godhead,
in order to oblige you.
in order to oblige.
He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed
He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed
by an irresistible supernatural weapon.
by an irresistible supernatural weapon.
The Brahmin said, the spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful weapon and all-pervasive Vishnu, Lord Krishna, for two reasons. The first reason is that the child in the womb of his mother was spotless, due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Kuru, the pious forefather of the virtuous King Yudhisthira. The Lord wants to continue the line of pious kings to rule over the earth as his representatives for the actual progress of a peaceful and prosperous life. After the battle of Kurukshetra, even up to the next generation of Maharaj Yudhisthira was annihilated, and there were none who could generate another son in the great royal family. Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, was the only surviving heir apparent in the family. By the irresistible supernatural Brahmanastra weapon of Ashvatam, he was forced to be annihilated. Lord Krishna is described herein as Vishnu, and this is also significant. Lord Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, does the work of protection and annihilation in his capacity of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. The all-pervasive activities of the Lord are executed by him in this Vishnu feature. Child Parikshit is described here as spotlessly white because he is an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Such unalloyed devotees of the Lord appear on the earth just to execute the mission of the Lord. The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed, go back home, back to Godhead. And thus he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending missionaries of saints and sages, and by deputing his representative, the spiritual master. Such transcendental literatures, missionaries, and representatives of the Lord are spotlessly white because the contamination of the material qualities cannot even touch them. They are always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. Such foolish threats are made by the gross materialists. Brahmastra, which was thrown by Ashvatam at the child Parikshit, was certainly supernaturally powerful. Nothing of the material world could resist its force of penetration. But the all-powerful Lord, who is present everywhere, within and without, is counteracted by his all-powerful potency, just to save a bona fide servant of the Lord and descendant of another devotee. Maharaj Yudhisthira, who was always obliged by the Lord by his causeless mercy. God. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusrimilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we see here a preserving that Krishna was doing to carry on the chain, the disciplic chain in a sense, but the chain of emperors who were qualified and had been able to carry on this qualification through family seminal discharge, life after life. Now, we don't have such qualified people on the planet anymore, but it's very interesting to me, this statement here, the Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed, to go back home, back to Godhead. See, and the other day I was preaching and I was wondering whether I was going too far to say that Lord Chaitanya is going to bring them all back. But here we see, this is Krishna's desire, The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed, to go back home, back to Godhead. Thus he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending missionaries of saints and sages. So, by giving us the message of Shrimadbhagavatam, then we become those missionaries and saintly people by following the regulative principles. It's the qualification of being a saintly person. And then, of course, we're dedicating our lives to the purpose of the Supreme Person, who we see here, his desire, which is right in line with his purpose, is to bring all the living entities in the material universe back to Godhead. We see locally, and we see our efforts locally. When we go to India, it helps us to see more with a world vision the effects Krishna consciousness is having, because you see people coming from Russia. There's like 10,000 devotees come all the way to India from Russia. And so they have to make a special place in Mayapur just for the Russian devotees. They have their own translators and everything. So the movement is having a big effect worldwide. We don't see it here in the United States because it has dwindled down due to sinful activities. But as time progresses, and as Krishna consciousness takes more and more a hold in the world, we will see qualifications, devotees with qualifications taking leadership positions to eventually, for society to understand the need for there to be a one world government, one world authority that everybody follows, because they know by the keeping of the regulative principles of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically they become a part of the highest class of human beings by this entry into the spiritual energy of the Supreme Person, which Krishna is calling living entities to. And if we have the perverted vision to think that because these seem to be of a lower status than that which you would attain to if you went to college for 4 to 10 years, working as a lawyer or as a doctor or as a minister within the society of some sort. Because when you come to Krishna consciousness, because Krishna is making it available to everyone, there are services that anyone can take part in. So it keeps people from thinking of themselves as restricted. And Krishna is making available through this movement access to the spiritual energy by all those who desire and hope to be fulfilled in the spiritual process that human life is being given to us for. Another interesting point being brought out here was that it was known that in the womb that Parikshit Maharaj was a pure devotee. It was known in the womb. And so this also is an indirect reference to what I was speaking of the other day, this science of progeny, that the mother and father who are bringing children into the world receive understanding from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as spoken by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. I am that sex life within marriage that is acted upon according to regulative principles. And so Krishna gives evidence through this that one can know they are bringing a devotee into this world. And this is being revealed here, that the process was known, that it was the meditation, and just like Hiranyakasipu meditated, and he had made spoken words that he wanted to bring someone who could kill his enemy. But by being so over enthusiastic about it, he made the statement that it was, kill my enemy's enemy. So his enemy's enemy was him. My enemy's enemy is me. So then, this is what happened then. By Prahlad being born, then Prahlad's calling for Lord Nrsingadev then brought Lord Nrsingadev, the enemy of his enemy, the enemy of Hiranyakasipu's enemy. And in this way he brought his own destruction, see. So this is so powerful, this process, and this is what is happening without people's realizing it. They bring children, got a cramp right now, my friend, sorry. They bring children into the world without knowing that it was the thought of the Father that empowered the particular soul that was in his body to be the specific soul that would manifest, that would have the potency from the Father to manifest with like consciousness. Like consciousness. And so a human being, in effect, you can say, because I've been questioning, why so many seeds? It would seem such a waste, right? These potential human beings that reside within their body, then just for the sake of one coming into birth, millions at least, millions are just flushed out, they're just lost. But, in a sense, it reveals to us the variety there must be for there to be practically a billion. And looked at from that perspective, then, Krishna is enabling, by the consciousness of the Father, for him to be able to choose from such a wide variety of souls. All he has to do is think upon the kind of soul he wants to bring into this world. And see, we have examples of this also in Bhagavatam. There was a couple, they were so praying so sincerely to Krishna that they could have a son like Krishna. And Krishna could find no one like himself. So, was this Kapila Deva? I think this may have been Kapila Deva. And so Krishna manifested in the form of Kapila Deva. And then he transformed the whole world. He brought down all the high places and raised up all the low places. And this is described as making the earth flat. But it wasn't that it turned into a pancake now. The word means a globe. So, we see by the incarnations of Krishna that his activities are such that it goes beyond our imagination's ability to conceive of any human being having the abilities that Krishna has. So one has to have faith that goes beyond what the physical senses are enabling us to experience in this world, to accept the words of the Vedas as absolute truth. So there is a requirement on the part of the practitioner who wants to know God to come to an understanding that the greatness of God so far exceeds anything we have experience of in this material world. And it is a stumbling block for some people because they cannot contain within their consciousness the concepts of anyone being able to lift up a hill that all the whole city could take shelter under. This is just beyond any human being's imagination. If there is no God, nevertheless, If human experience is being had by consciousness, then it would seem reasonable to conclude that that experience we are having, if we have the ability to create consciousness, there's a soul, and the soul, with your eyes closed, you can envision or vision anything you have seen in this world, and ultimately other things that you haven't seen in this world. The mind has the ability, but it is not creating. It is taking from that which it already has been. When we dream, we do this. And in some dreams, it's because we've seen gold, we've seen a mountain, and so we dream about a gold mountain. But that does not mean that a gold mountain does not exist. In fact, as I was speaking in another class, there's a mountain of gold fashioned by mangoes that fall from this mango tree that are the size of our elephants. Now this is on an island surrounding Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is himself on an island. Sheshanag is his island. His couch is his island, who is Sheshanag, who is speaking words of glorification at every moment to Krishna, and glorification of his wondrous qualities. And he's never repeated himself in all of eternity. So this in and of itself, just the being of Mahavishnu, is beyond the mind's imagination. But while we are conceiving of these manifestations of Krishna in our mind, it is an experience that there is a powerful human being that we have access to the consciousness of, who wants to share as we see in this. He wants to bring us back to Godhead. It means he wants to share his consciousness with us for us to be able to know how to do that, how to get back to Godhead. And that's what he's giving us every day in a form of nourishment with the communion we have with Krishna through our consciousness. Because he's sharing his body, he can share his thoughts with us. And that makes the experience sublime. Letting us to know that he's there, encouraging every step, and with every spoken word of Krishna's name, then it is an accumulation in our DNA, as they call it. We call it the soul's history. It is a history of that which is eternal. So once that which is eternal becomes a part of our history, then we become a part of and realize that we are and always have been a part of the complete whole. Krishna is the source of. Contemplating on all these subject matters of the Vedas then removes the mind from all the problems of the material world. And so if we want to have an experience in life of that which is of a sublime nature, then by immersing the mind in the articles, the stories of Bhagavatam, then we have the experience of who it is that we hope to be guided by, as powerful as we see Krishna to be in the forms he's taking. And each and every form he's taking for specific purposes. So that's why he's telling us to meditate on this form that is his most favorite form, in order for us to go back to that form, which is him playing in his flute. This is evidence to us of what is favorite to Krishna for him to do. So not only does he want to bring us back to Godhead, but he wants to bring us back to his very most favorite place in Godhead, which is where he is when he's playing his flute. And that's why he's telling us in the Bhagavad Gita, as he speaks to Arjuna, anyone who reads this account is being spoken to by Krishna. That's what all this association of books is, getting the value of that which is valuable to the speaker. And Krishna has the means of being able to deliver that very treasure which is valuable to him, to us, to be able to experience that same with our consciousness, by him sharing his thoughts with us in the same bodies that we are. This is all his dream. Mahavishnu, lying on that causal ocean that the universe is in that body that the universes are emanated from, he lies in a continuous state of yoga nidra, which is halfway in between wakefulness and sleepfulness. And he stays in that constant state of meditation in everything that's going on in the universe, in all the billions of universes. It's part of that dream. And we're part of his dream, having come out directly of his body at one point in our history. Not as recent as some, but he's making it so that we can get back to the place where we don't enter into his body anymore. That we are acting in direct relationship with that which is most favorite to him. This reveals he wants us to be gopis. Krishna would that we were all gopis. And he would have continuous pleasure with all of his living entities that are made for his pleasure. But we have our own ways, we have our own designs. And because of his love for us, he enables us to go out and do whatever we want other than. And in this way, we develop a false ego that gives us the belief that we can become the controller, we can become the supreme. We want everybody to follow us and worship us and do what we want them to do. And this is all the false ego. And so when that's broken down and then we surrender to Krishna, then we get to experience the consciousness of the most supreme personality of God. We can go through our minds and just put in our minds that picture of Mahavishnu lying in an ocean from which billions, trillions, countless universes are emanating. How radiant that body would be, and there are living entities that are communicating that body, that form. But see, they don't approach with the mentality of interrupting, because they don't interrupt God because now I have something so important that you have to stop whatever you're doing and listen to me, listen to my problems. And not only that, but I'm going to tell you that you have to solve them for me. This is what most people do when they approach God, isn't it? They are putting God under their command. I'm going to pray because I have such nice recitations of prayers that now you have to fulfill whatever I ask of you because you're the greatest, most powerful. This is people's approach to prayer, isn't it? Whatever I do, I want you to provide for me in life, whatever I'm doing, and you have to give me stuff. This is not love. This is based on the kind of relationships we're having in the material world with people, with human beings. If you scratch my back, then I'll scratch your back. And that's not love at all. And what to speak of unconditional love. So there are various grades and levels of love that we are on the path endeavoring, pursuing to come to the level of. And those that have reached those highest levels of love see themselves as the most fallen. The value they have on that which they are hoping to attain to is so high that they look at everything else in their life that hasn't attained to that stage as making them fallen, in a fallen state. And see, that was the mentality. This is a Paramahamsa mentality in Vrindavan, developed by those, when in the scripture it says, the farther you go away from Vrindavan, the farther west you go from Vrindavan, the more sin you will find. So we have a west coast. And Srila Prabhupada's coming all the way to the Western world, as it's called, was looked upon by some followers of Vaishnava practices as giving into the desires. But Srila Prabhupada's purity in his heart was such to bring, as we're revealing, as is being revealed here in Krishna's heart. Krishna wants to deliver the souls. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to fulfill the desires of his spiritual master, who was passing down the desire of Krishna to deliver the fallen souls. That's why he came here. Now, when we see yogis coming here with the hopes of building some great palace for themselves, then we can see a fulfillment of what the scripture says and tells us not to do. But when you see a glorified personality whose life is pure, 5 years old he's having Rath Yatra, Lord Krishna, then we see in this kind of a personality the ability to go beyond the limits set by the Supreme, even what by some might seem to be offensive. But he breaks the barriers of that which is previously set as limitations. So the caste system was put into India, would seem like somewhat of a limitation. But with an entire society that sees that this life is not the end, so you may be born a Sudra in this life, but by practical application of the Vedic principles, you will gain acceptance in the next life to a higher platform. That was the mentality of the society holding as the caste system, a system by which society could be regulated, but this kept people from being able to move at all. And spiritually, it is Krishna's desire for us spiritually. So there's varnas and there's ashrams. So we have the physical application of work that we do in the world. Then we have the spiritual application of the Dharma that we do for the sake of getting out of this material world. And so what the movement of Krishna consciousness has done has revealed to us those activities that are directly related to, which as well can be those activities that are being used in the material world, but when they are dovetailed towards the furtherance and the propagation of the teachings of the Supreme Person, they also become a spiritual activity. So there's a lot of professions in the world that are being looked at as mundane activities, which they are, if they're not directed at the furtherance of the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's many printing presses in the world, some of which are being used for the sole purpose of propagating nonsense. And the result produced by that producing nonsense has a different result than that, producing which the kind of literatures we read. So just like one tree in the field, there's two trees in the field. They're both cut down for wood to make the pages of a book. But one gets benefit by its own body being used to promote the teachings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But see, we know as Vaishnavas that they got that by previous involvement with the material energy. So we would look at two trees and say, oh, they're equal. They're not equal. Not even two trees are equal. Because they have both gotten there from completely different sets of circumstances that can make one tree be evil and another tree be good. But in their original forms. So what they are experiencing now is separate from that which they had when they were originally in the spiritual world. And what has to be done now is for them to now develop that same consciousness they had when they were in the spiritual world. So Srila Prabhupada says, I'm not telling you something you don't know. I'm telling you to remind you what is already in your hearts to know that we have to do. So today is Ekadashi. We can spend as much time as possible as we have to be able to immerse ourselves in the spirituality of self-realization and get the full benefit that this day, this very auspicious day, has to offer us in the way of spiritual advancement. And our lives will be sublime. In this way, we will have no problems, we'll have no worries, no fears, no doubts. Fearless! And looking forward with great anticipation. Every moment is an increasing experience of spirituality if we open our consciousness to it, if we are through the day pressing forward to have that spiritual experience of ecstasy. We don't do it for that purpose, but it comes automatically by the endeavor we make to sincerely fulfill the desire of the Supreme Person. And then we get the experience of the Supreme Consciousness. Any comments, any questions, any realization? God.
Thank you.
Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Vijaya Ekadashi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.